open grand PSF is trending around the range of 1,003.
When we convert it to a 3 plus flexi, it's actually about 5.15 in terms of length.
Set 2, 3 and 21, they are 5 bedders. They face internally towards the pool.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the new launch studio review by PropertyLimBrothers. Today we are looking at the collective at One Sophia. So this is a mixed development comprising of your retail component, office component, as well as your residential component. So it's something that is pretty rare to come by. Where did this land come from? Of course, it came from Enbloc through the previous Peace Center as well as Peace Mansion. So this is already previously a mixed development comprising of commercial spaces as well as apartments. $650 million after the 5th Enbloc attempt, finally it was successful. So based on the understanding of the break-even pricing after they have to top up the lease back to the full 99 years, it will be around that $1,400 per square feet per plot ratio. Adding on to construction costs for mixed development, which is usually slightly higher than a pure residential project, the break-even could be somewhere around closer to the $2,000 PSF per square feet kind of plot ratio. Pricing angle, 20% profit margin by a developer should make the launch price around at $2,400 per square feet. But of course, looking at the different performance of the different new launches that has happened recently, Norwood Grand, $2,000 PSF, Emerald and Katong is closer to like $2,700 per square feet. So for something that is in the core central region where we are right now, of course, developers are now going to be launching at this kind of pricing. This is how the development looks like. Number one, it looks pretty iconic. So you see a lot of glass facade comprising of the office element as well as the residential element. So in terms of the design concept of the entire project is to be focusing on change, bold, innovative design, something that really accentuates this locale, which is comprising of arts and culture. So you want something that changes the current landscape and stands out on its own as like one of the first mover in terms of like the entire architectural landscape of this area. So let's talk a little bit about the architect. So architect, this is a French architect, Jean-François Milou, and ADDP architect. So they designed this space looking at a few things because we are at a very busy junction of the Seligi as well as Sophia area. So the offices, which is this portion, right, it actually helps to give the main prominence when you are going through the main street looking at this building. So I think if you are operating as a retail owner over here or you have like an office space over here, you also want something to be eye-catching as a building when your clients come and visit you or when your potential shoppers come over to visit you. Whereas they smartly actually hide all the apartments at the back. So this is fronting towards the Sophia area, so it gives a little bit more quiet space. So the entire facade is to make sure that it has a bold statement, it's eye-capturing when you're driving by, and you can see this arch, which is very nicely done. So it's like a arch carpeted, like outdoor garden space, very nicely designed with a lot of glass facade as well as outdoor landscape spaces across the entire building. One Sophia Road, good address, District 9, core central market segment. In terms of the retail space, it's about 90,000 square footage, basement parking, 3 levels of basement parking, 11 stories of commercial and office spaces, which you can actually buy more than 1 units and you can combine them together if you need a bigger floor plate for a business in terms of flexibility. That is great. So overall total, about 220,000 of square footage is dedicated for the office spaces. And there is outdoor communal gardens, 367 bespoke residential units over here comprising of studio all the way until 3 bedrooms. So this is how it looks like. So if you were to see, this is fronting towards Sophia Road angle. Offices are right over here. Of course, they have the frontage facing towards Seligi. On the other side, retail component is your level 1 and level 2. And you have basement parking for the bottom 3 levels, and residential building is tucked to the more quieter side of the entire project. Facilities on level 3. So this is how on the left, how the old building looks like, Peace Mansion and Peace Center. 232 commercial shops, 86 apartments, and now it has been upgraded, elevated in terms of like the number of units. So 122 office space, 127 retail, 367 residential. So when it comes to a mixed development, most important thing that we want to ask ourselves is the retail units going to be sold from a strata unit standpoint? So as of now, there is the Okay, so as of the current scenario, the retail will be managed by the developers, either through another managing agent. So the good thing about not having the units being sold from a strata unit standpoint is because the performance of the retail space will naturally determine how is the performance of the residential component down the road. So when it is properly managed, like for example your big shopping malls, there will be a mixture of the right tenant pool with the right anchor tenant that actually gives the actual convenience to the people staying in the building itself as well as surrounding the building. So when the tenant mix is convenient, the tenants mix is done correctly, it will attract crowds. And when there's crowds, this building is more popular. Of course, there will be more people who want to stay in the residential area, creating more demand, hence better rental yield, and of course, it's a byproduct creating a capital appreciation. So that's why it's very important to ensure that the retail component is actually managed well. So I think 127 units, when properly managed, I think this will give a lot of great convenience from an F&B standpoint, supermarket standpoint, as well as a retail component standpoint. Developer, who are they? Singhai. So they have portfolio across different countries already: Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, United States, Malaysia, as well as the Maldives. And some of the ongoing projects that did really well and are very popular, of course, are your Grand Diamond. They are almost like going to be fully sold out very soon. So it's one of the most popular projects that's launched this year, Grand Diamond. Of course, Sora, which is already started selling a couple of months ago. And there's a whole list of completed projects that you can see over here. In CCR area, we have Copa at Newton, which is one of their newer projects. Park Clementes is a big project in Clementi area. Park Colonial, something that's very popular in the RCR location in Woodleigh, so on and so forth. High Park, Grandeur Park, these are in your OCR region, and many, many more. So let's talk a little bit about the location for One Sophia. So for One Sophia, Core Central region, it is very close to Dhoby Ghaut area, District 9. So first thing first, when we talk about transport, so probably if you're looking for convenience, this is definitely a project that is super, super convenient because you can actually walk to 7 MRT train stations comprising of 5 lines. Currently, right now, we only have 6 lines, and you can walk to and actually access to all 5 lines, so that is very convenient. So the shortest walking distance, of course, is towards Bencoolen, so this is how the walk path will be like. 295 meters to Bencoolen MRT, that is your downtown line, blue color line, leads you to the CBD area. If you want to go to Rochor, MRT is 324 meters. Same thing, downtown line, blue color. Of course, I think one of the most important lines that is in walking distance is actually Dhoby Ghaut MRT. This is 566 meters walking distance. This is an interchange line comprising of 3 different lines: North-South line, Circle line, as well as your North-East line. And in Singapore right now, there are only 3 stations that actually have an interchange of 3 lines at the moment. So this is definitely a very important line that can give a lot of convenience to different parts of Singapore, whether is it from a work standpoint to the CBD area, or would you like to go somewhere closer to your Orchard City Centre, or as well as to other areas of Singapore. Bugis, if you want to walk, is also walkable as well, 800 meters. So this is slightly further away, but I think if you are walking quite okay speed, that will probably take you about 10 to 11 minutes to reach to Bugis MRT station, where there is Bugis Junction for your retail component. Amenities-wise, Plaza Singapura, one of the biggest malls in Singapore, so that gives you a lot of convenience and in decent walking distance to the project itself. And of course, not to forget that we are looking forward to the successful management of the entire 127 units retail component of One Sophia, so that will already give you doorstep amenities. So just come down the lift, you have a supermarket, you have F&B options and retail options. So this will really create a lot of convenience and will create like a new attraction icon and refresh the entire landscape for this Sophia and Seligi region. So of course, the entire design concept, because we are in a very arts and civic area, the entire design concept of the entire facade is bold, attractive, chic, and they're trying to attract a younger crowd, I think, like to this project itself. I also like that you are in decent walking distance to Fort Canning Park, so it's always good to be able to walk to a green space. So that is where you can actually tune down and relax a little bit more, even though you are in a very central location that is convenient. So sometimes you just need a more peaceful spot, which you can also lead very quickly to Clarke Quay and Singapore River, where you can have your nice stroll, or you can bike all the way until Marina Bay area. In schools-wise, this is also considered like an education hub. So primary school-wise, we have quite a popular primary school, St. Margaret's Primary School, within 1 kilometer. We also have a lot of artsy school around the area, LaSalle, NAFA, School of the Arts, as a few examples over here. Okay, let's move on to some project facts over here. So in terms of residential comprises of two blocks, 1A and 1B, this is a 99 years project that starts from December 2023. Total site area is about 7,118 square meters. So comprising of just now what I mentioned before, 367 residential units, 122 offices, 127 retail. 273 units of parking spaces, all right? And I think something very interesting is actually they have quite a bit of bicycle lots as well. So 140 common lots, 92 is dedicated for the residential unit. So I think like if you just want to ride very quickly to the Kallang Basin or want to just ride a bike down to the Marina Bay Sands, I think that is a nice touch to it. In terms of maintenance-wise, you realize that generally the studio and one-bedders are around $416 per month. The two-bedders, $468. 3 bedrooms, $572. So generally wise, usually for the management fee of a mixed development is usually slightly higher because of the convenience that it provides as compared to a typical residential project. Unit mix itself, studio, 1-bedder, 2-bedders, all the way until 3 bedrooms. So if you were to break it down very quickly, the studio and 1-bedroom comprises about almost half of the number of units at 47.7%, 2-bedders at another 43%, and for 3 bedrooms, it's pretty rare, it's only 9.3%. So generally wise, you can see that the target audience is more for your investors looking to own this to rent out for a high rental because of its great locale, single and young or smaller families that really want to focus location as well as entry price per square feet and quantum pricing, which we'll cover later. Why is it so attractive? And so that's why the unit sizes are a little bit on the smaller side. So site plan wise, the good thing is on the left hand side, you will see over here, this is actually where the residential building is and this is where the commercial building is. What I like usually for mixed development is to have separate entrances. So they have a separate residential drop-off point, they have a separate commercial drop-off point. So I think that is very important from a traffic flow standpoint. So having this additional road to in between definitely helps for these two buildings. Facilities wise, they are all mainly on level 3 itself. So you have social club, games room, lounge deck, pool, gym, etc. So this is how the drop-off point will look like for the collective at One Sophia. So for the residential component, they call it the collective. Address is at One Sophia, so I think like there is very nice ceiling works, something that is grand for a drop-off point itself or something in the city center. The gym overlooking your main pool, right? This is actually the social club, which is the function room. Some games room. And we also have this outdoor space at level 19 itself. So you also have other outdoor decks that you can actually enjoy and just breathe some fresh air and of course like just look at the city views from the different outdoor decks that is available. So this is how it looks like, the greenery and landscaping that is decked out throughout the entire development itself. So let's talk a little bit on like the layout. Layout wise, there are a lot of layouts. Generally, the residential building is up to 19 stories, commercial building is until 13. Okay, so let's start with looking at the layout wise, right? If you were to realize that there are generally 2 towers over here. So block 1A, 10 units per level, block 1B, 12 units per level. But I think something that is really good is actually they have 3 different lift lobbies to serve each floor level. So I think in terms of just for 19 stories, I think 3 lift lobbies is pretty generous. Okay, so this is how the site plan will look like when we overlay it across the map to give you a rough idea of the facing itself. So there are generally 3 facing. Number 1 is to the Sophia area, so you are seeing internally towards the Sophia residence. You can see a little bit of the pool view and the landscaping. Sophia residence is about 14 stories in height. Highest story over here for the residential buildings in the collective is 19 stories. So going higher will give you slightly a little bit of like clearer view to see further away. Internal facing units, you generally are seeing the pool area within the project itself. And of course, for the external facing unit, this is actually Sophia Road. Not a very, very heavy road, so I think like from noise area is okay. And you are seeing towards the Wilkie Edge area. So Wilkie Edge also is a commercial element where you can find your F&B options at level 1 as well. So let's look at the studio layout first. Two different layouts, 431 square feet, 452 square feet. So if you were to look at studio-wise, the main facing is towards the Sophia residence area. These are actually the two beige color ones. So looking at the studio, what's the difference between a studio and a one-bedder? Basically, there is no separation between the living as well as your master room space. So if you were to look at the width of the living as well as the master itself, it's a little bit tighter than your typical one-bedder. But I think this is pretty comfortable if it's for one person to stay. For a studio sizing, I think this is pretty generous because a lot of studio in the core central region are at a 370, 380 plus kind of square footage. So having something like that, having your like living and bedroom space that is not 100% combined, it still have its own kind of space. I think this is pretty good. Master bathroom has its own entrance, not that ensuite kind of spacing, and you still have a proper dining zoning, which I think is pretty good, well done for like a studio space. Kitchen space here, I think is a little bit tighter, but I think like it gives you that separation. You can have your own kitchen space combined with the foyer area, right? So I think like for studio, usually I think this is mainly for investment standpoint, but I think for one person to stay for if you are single, one person for the next 2 to 3 years, I think it's decently comfortable as well, especially for the convenience that the project provides you. So pricing wise, how does it price? So in terms of studio-wise, the starting price is about $1.165 million, translating to about 27 PSF at the moment for something that is on the 10th floor. Looking at how like one-bedders generally in the OCR area, outside central region, they are starting from $1 million and onwards. I think for something that is close to $1.16 million to stay in the core central region with that kind of convenience, I think it's quite worth it overall. Let's look at the one-bedder now. So for one-bedder, this you will see that now you start to have that division between the master room as well as the living area. The width in terms of wall-to-wall distance, a little bit more generous now. So personally, I think like this is more comfortable to stay because I can actually separate workspaces as well as my resting area. Main differences between these two layouts generally is okay, this is the more typical layout. So something that's very interesting is for some units at level 4, level 7, level 5, you realize that the balcony is integrated within to the living area. So that actually provides more usable space in between. Because the facade is something that is more iconic, so we are not sure whether when it comes to the TOP stage, will there be a scenario where maybe zip track is not allowed so that it doesn't impact too much of the facade. But I think the main facade that is iconic is really on the office side. So I think maybe for the resident side it should be okay because there are also approved balcony screens that you can already opt in to include such that you can actually sort of like semi-enclose your balcony space and weatherproof it a little bit. Okay, one nice touch is of course you have the Jet and Jill door entrance to the master bath. So I think that gives a lot of convenience and privacy, especially when you have guests over. Master room I think is good size. It's always good to have like a dedicated dining zone such that it's not integrated to be at the side of the kitchen area. So I think this is a good layout overall. In terms of facing wise, you realize that you can either choose towards internal facing, pool facing, or this will be looking towards the Wilkie Edge area. I think if you are somebody that prefers a little bit more comfort in terms of your tower to tower distance, you will probably prefer something that is stacked 30 or 21. Internal facing for the pool, my understanding is the tower to tower distance is closer to like about the 15 meters kind of range. So it is okay. I think like it is a little bit close, right? Overall wise, if you see the starting price for the stack 42, level 4 internal facing is from 1.346 million. And so this is $2,700, about $2,700 per square feet, right? So if you are at the external facing, because the size is slightly bigger, right? So the overall quantum will be around that 1.44 million. But of course, this is because it's this 0421 where you have more internal space over here. So that is the reason why for those units with the lounge area internal space, for the same stack, it is slightly higher pricing, right? Because you have more usable space. Going towards the next one, So this is the one bedder, but with the additional household shelter over here, you can see that now the width in the kitchen area is way more spacious. So I think this is very comfortable. Overall sizing, 538 square feet. So 538 square feet, especially I think in a newer building in a core central area, this is considered very generous sizing. Of course, that will also mean that in terms of pricing wise, it will balloon up to about 1.463. This is the starting price. General PSF right now over here in the project is about 2.7, averaging starting from. So if you look at the pricing landscape at the moment right now, I think that in order to, if you're able to get something that is 2.7, 2.8 per square feet, considering that number one, this is a core central region, this is a mixed development. In terms of entry pricing value, it is quite palatable as comparing to, because right now in a lot of RCR kind of project launches, you realize that a lot of units for the smaller unit type are also already at a $2,700 per square feet, right? So if you can get a more central location, I think if you like the location and convenience, I think this is something that is worth considering from an entry price perspective. One plus study. So the difference of a one plus study and the previous one is instead of having a bomb shelter, so this one becomes a study area. I personally like that this is a little bit more flexible in terms of usage over here. This one I can actually convert it to another guest bedroom if possible. I think this is just nice for like a single bed overall, and then I can just put in a sliding door. Layout, same, 1.489. For one plus study, of course, it's just purely internal facing, so you don't have much choices, either 32 or 33. It's a mirror image. Moving on to the 2-bed 1-bath. So for 2-bed 1-bath, you realize that over here, this is what we call like a more longish layout. It is not like a typical what we have commonly seen dumbbell where you have bedroom on one side and then one bedroom on the other side. Alternatively, you have bedrooms on both sides. So this is one at the front, one at the back. So what it means is also the front-facing units, you will get more light exposure. But for the back-facing unit, you will get slightly less light exposure. But I think it is nice that they did it in a way that there is an alcove. So you have light coming in from the side as well. So I think overall, it is very well designed. In terms of space for common room, 9 square meters, this is very, very good size for like a common room. And a Jack and Jill kind of entrance. Actually, this is a 3-door entrance to the bathroom itself. Each of your bedroom feels like you have your ensuite entrance to the bathroom. And when you have guests coming over, they can just come in from the corridor entrance as well, so you don't have to enter your rooms from privacy standpoint. Kitchenette, because it's like a sort of like a double galley kind of area. So of course, all the kitchenette portion is over here. Fridge is on the other end, so it feels like a double kind of kitchenette space. So I think this is pretty functional. And of course, you see that the entire dining and living space, this is well spread out at 25 square meters. So overall, well designed. 646 square feet. This is very efficient in terms of a 2-bed, 1-bath kind of layout. Also, just to highlight that this is not the post-harmonization square footage. So the square footage that we are saying over here all includes that aircon ledge. But of course, you can see that all the aircon ledges are done in a very minimal manner, about averagely 3 square meters on average. So well designed overall. Okay. Pricing wise, for the 2-bed 1-bath, this is from 1.8 to 1.85 million. I think in terms of this kind of pricing, it's very close to the RCR new launches at the moment. So overall, good value from that angle. Next up, we have the next 2-bed 1-bath kind of layout. So if you want an alternate facing, this is towards the Sophia residence kind of area. Pricing wise, a little bit lower at 1.8 million. But I think in terms of vantage point, you have something that has going to give you a little bit more privacy. Okay. So in terms of design wise, just imagine that this is a little bit different. You have bedrooms that are both front facing, so you'll get natural full window exposure for both. There is no aircon ledge in front of any of the bedrooms, so I personally like this layout quite a lot. And of course, here, you only have one ensuite. So the common room, you have to come out, but generally the size is very good at 9.4 square meters. So in terms of having the kitchenette and the dining combined together this space, I think it helps to make the dining a little bit bigger and you have a dedicated living zoning. One other thing is the entrance. Usually for a 1 and 2-bedder, when you open, you will see directly into the living dining space. This really allows to have like an alcove to give you that privacy. So when you open your doors, people do not directly see into the entire living area, giving you more privacy. Yeah, so I think this is very good value, 1.8 million at under $2,700 per square feet for a core central region. Next will be the two-bedder plus study layout. So of course, what is different mainly here is the more traditional dumbbell kind of setting. So you have one bedrooms on each side. Bedroom sizes are great. You have an additional alcove for the master room. This one is good for like a dressing space as well as it's good for like a study area. So here you'll get full exposure in terms of windows. Here you have half window because the aircon latch is outside. Typically you have a study room that is tucked away at one corner. Here I can actually enclose with a sliding door over here, single size bed. This can be a storage, study, hobby room. I think there's a lot of multi-function over here. So I think 700 square feet, pretty well done for a 2+ study, 1 bath, $1.9 million. So a lot of your two-bedders right now in the RCR region is already trending very close to that $1.9 million range or $1.9 million range as well. So overall, very good layout. Internal facing, this is towards the pool view. Next, we will look at some of the 2-bed, 2-bath layouts. Main difference, of course, is that now we have an additional bathroom. So in the morning, don't have to fight for the bathroom space. Same thing, dumbbell layout, balcony in the center, effective layout like we mentioned just now. So the Jack and Jill component of the bathroom is with the common room. So I think when you are using the master room, you have a little bit more privacy because it's not like a shared bathroom for your guests. Kitchen-wise, something interesting is here it gives that flexibility if you do want to have like sliding glass door to actually enclose that kitchen space when you are doing your cooking. This can be added in and do on your own. So I think this is pretty good. So bomb shelter, this one can be used as an additional storage space. So making the entire place more neat in general. $2 million, a lot of choices in terms of facing. You have that Wilkie Edge facing, you have the internal pool view facing, you also have that Sophia residence kind of facing. So generally wise, starting entry price just out of that $2 million mark at $2,697 per square feet. Okay. Next, we move on to the 2-bed premium, which is a 2-bed 2-bath plus the study layout. The main difference is instead of having a bomb shelter, now it's a study area. I personally do prefer that it is a study room as compared to be a bomb shelter. But of course, looking at the price premium, sometimes the price premium, if it is about 100K apart, I might just go for the bomb shelter region. If not, generally the layout is the same, 764 square feet. So next, coming to the last two layout type, this is your 3-bedder. There is only overall 2 stacks of 3-bedroom. So one of them, this is the 1023 square feet one. So we start with this. What is unique is this is actually a 3-bed, 3-bath kind of layout, and all bedrooms actually have your ensuite component. Bedrooms, good size, 11.1 square meters. Here there is a little bit of, I would say, non-optimized space, but it actually allows to have your additional ensuite for your 3rd bedroom. So I think that is a good compromise. So shared bathroom, Jack and Jill kind of entrance. Master, you have your own ensuite bath. And the last bedroom, you also have your own ensuite bath. Here it is front facing, so towards the pool area, you get full exposure in terms of your windows. This one, on the side, this one will be half height. So here you will be facing towards the commercial component of the project itself. So overall, living dining zone, this is more a little bit like an L-shaped kind of living dining. So you have wider dining space. So I think this is good because for 3-bedders, usually the family size will be bigger. I think like you will definitely need something that can accommodate up to a 6-seater at a decent comfort level. One of the things is kitchen-wise is more towards like an open concept kitchen. But I think one of the attraction points for staying in a central region location is that the families are unlikely to cook as much because it's really so convenient. You can pop down to the surrounding shop houses. You already have a lot of food options. In the future, next time you have 127 retail units over here. And of course, you're already in town area, you can have a lot of Grab options in terms of your food. So maybe they are unlikely to cook as much, hence this is an open kitchen concept. But of course, you can still have that glass enclosure that you can do it yourself if you really want to enclose it. So in terms of the 3 bedrooms, 2.845 million, $2,700 per square feet starting from. And last but not least, we have this. bigger size luxury 3-bedder. This is at 1227 square feet. In terms of this sizing, usually right now in other developments, you will see that it is more closer to like a 4-bedroom. So why they label it as luxury is, of course, if you were to see in terms of the 3-bed, 3-bath area, this is pretty similar. What is changed is actually over at this living dining portion itself over here. So key thing is you have that kitchen where some people who really like to host and like alfresco dining would love, because it has the direct connection to the balcony space, so you cook and you can serve the alfresco dining at the balcony area. This is an open concept with enclosable sliding doors right now. So this is very popular in terms of like a hosting kind of space because this looks like an island. It helps to, like give that expansion feel for your living area, lets in a lot of light and interaction through different spaces. You like to host, like to cook at the same time. So that really gives you that kind of interaction that you have for a guest. Reminds me a lot of all the US homes where, really like a big family area. So this is the kind of concept that you are getting. The other thing will be you have an additional utility room plus a WC. So this is a pretty big utility room because most of the time I will say that like the utility room is 2/3 of the current space that I'm seeing over here. So I think this is good for storage, helpers area, and if you really need to make it work as a potential study space, I think that can work for you. And this will be an enclosable kitchen that is more suitable for bigger families. So overall, these are all the different layouts that you'll find in the collective itself. So for this, pricing is at $3.481 million, $2,800 per square feet. I think for a quantum like this, is in an RCR location, you'll be getting something that is closer to like a 4-bedder kind of option. So I think like I would prefer that 3-bedder just now that I mentioned that is the earlier one, where it's at 1023 square feet. Rentability. So for this project, most importantly is, like I mentioned, is targeted to a smaller, younger, and smaller family size kind of audience. Many of them were thinking about, because of its good location to transportation, core central region, close proximity to your CBD kind of location, and as well as all the education plots over here. So if you were to see on the screen, you will have a lot of 10-over education plots surrounding, just like I mentioned, some of the art school, SMU, etc. These are your potential tenant pool, as well as people who are working in the CBD zoning that want convenience, who want to live near to town for that flexibility in terms of like F&B, as well as all the entire shopping options along the Orchard shopping belt. So that will be where the main catchment is in terms of your rental. So if you want to benchmark how much you can potentially rent it for, we can compare with these two projects. First, House on Handy. Next one, Suites at Orchard. So these two projects, one is completed in 2014, one is just recently completed not too long ago. Overall wise, if you were to look at the average rental per square feet per month, for House on Handy is about $8.60, and for Suite at Orchard is about $6.48. So in summary wise, if you were to extrapolate the amount of rental that you can get per square feet over here back towards the collective at One Sophia, it will generate you around that kind of rental yield that is close to that 3.7, 3.8% region. I think like this is considered on the angle for overall kind of rental yield right now at the 3.2 to 3.4% region. So having a little edge to push up to 3.8%, I think that is pretty okay. So in summary wise, I think this project, so overall, who does this project fit the most? Number one, people who are focusing a lot on location. They want something that is convenient, so you have quick access to multiple MRT stations, very convenient in terms of your retail and amenities kind of options. Second thing is, you are thinking that, hey, if let's say, like the RCR location pricing in terms of per square foot wise, it is already trending at very, very close to the core central region. Then at a very similar pricing now, I can stay in the heart of Singapore. And then so this will be target audience. Overall, this project is more suited towards investors as well as single home ownership. Rationale is because most of them are 1 and 2 bedroom, so probably each unit 1 or 2 person to stay is a little bit more comfortable in that angle. And most of the time, these people have their own gym membership, etc. and all that stuff. So a lot of, in terms of facilities wise, they don't need something that is a lot of huge landscaping, big project that's more catered to families. So I think in terms of the number of residential units, 300 plus units, decent facilities, mainly focusing a lot on outdoor spaces, landscape outdoor areas that you can head out to and just enjoy the city view, especially the night view. So I think really targeting to the young audience who really like something that is more fun, more chic, as well as a kind of eclectic kind of environment over here, who really appreciate the arts and culture, walking distance to your F&B, etc. and all that. So that's the end of our studio review regarding the collective at One Sophia. So we actually have a show flat tour done by Melvin that will be launching very soon, so go check that out as well. So if you'd like to know more about One Sophia and discuss what stacks and which units are more suitable for you, so you can just contact our contact details below or reach out to any of our PLB consultants and they'll be happy to walk you through your next new launch purchase. I'm Rong from PropertyLimBrothers. See you soon.